1946. The Second World War had ended just a year earlier. The United States was booming. Soldiers came home to a country eager to spend, eager to be entertained. Baseball was the national pastime, boxing still drew massive crowds, and college football was a Saturday ritual. But in the winter months, when the ice melted from the rinks, there was a gap in the sports calendar, and a group of arena owners believed they could fill it. The modern National Basketball Association traces its origins to a meeting on June 6, 1946, at the Commodore Hotel in New York City. Representatives from major arenas in the Northeast and Midwest, most of them tied to the NHL, gathered with a shared idea. Why not bring professional basketball to big city arenas and give our buildings a reason to stay busy when the ice comes up? The driving force was Walter A. Brown, the owner of the Boston Garden. He was joined by influential figures like Maurice Podoloff, an attorney who would become the league's first president, and Ned Irish, president of the New York Knicks and a key promoter of Madison Square Garden events. These men envisioned something different from the already existing National Basketball League, NBL, which had been around since 1937. The NBL's teams were mostly in smaller Midwestern towns like Oshkosh, Sheboygan, and Fort Wayne, and often played in modest gyms or armories. The new league, called the Basketball Association of America, BAA, would aim for major markets and large venues, with an eye on attracting middle-class, urban fans. The BAA launched with 11 teams spread across the United States and Canada: Boston Celtics, Chicago Stags, Cleveland Rebels, Detroit Falcons, New York Knicks, Philadelphia Warriors, Pittsburgh Ironmen, Providence Steamrollers, St. Louis Bombers, Toronto Huskies, Washington Capitals. These franchises were backed by arena operators who hoped to replicate the financial success of hockey, but on the hardwood. On November 1, 1946, the Toronto Huskies hosted the New York Knicks at Maple Leaf Gardens. This wasn't just any regular season opener. It was the first game in BAA history. Promotion gimmick. Anyone taller than Toronto center George Nostrand, 6 feet 8 inches, got free admission. The game drew 7,090 fans, an impressive crowd for a brand new league. The Knicks won 68-66, with Ossie Skekman scoring the first basket in league history. A simple layup that became a historic moment. If you're imagining the fast-paced, high-flying NBA of today, think again. The game in 1946 was slower, more methodical, and far more physical. The set shot was more common than the jump shot, and the three-point line didn't exist. Defenses could pack the paint, and scores in the 60s were normal. The basketball itself was slightly smaller than today's model, and arenas often had poor lighting, smoky air from fan cigarettes, and courts with less cushioning, creating a gritty atmosphere. The early BAA didn't yet have household names on the level of later NBA legends, but several players stood out. Joe Fulks, Philadelphia Warriors, nicknamed Jumpin' Joe. He was one of the few players using a modern jump shot regularly. His scoring prowess made him the league's first big attraction. Ed Sadowski, Toronto Huskies, a 6 feet 5 inches center who was one of the better big men in the league. Bones McKinney, Washington Capitals, a fiery player-coach presence. Ossie Skekman, New York Knicks, forever remembered for that first basket. The 1946-47 season ran 60 games per team, with no divisions at first. Teams faced grueling travel schedules, often by train, and modest accommodations compared to today's NBA luxury. Crowds varied wildly. In New York, the Knicks could draw decent numbers at Madison Square Garden, but in smaller markets like Providence or Pittsburgh, turnout was often underwhelming. The league quickly realized that running a pro basketball operation was expensive. Player salaries were low by today's standards, most in the range of $4,000 to $5,000 per year, but travel and arena costs added up. The first postseason featured 6 teams, with a structure that favored the regular season division winners. The Philadelphia Warriors, coached by Eddie Gottlieb, had the league's best scorer in Joe Fulks and a balanced roster that could handle the physical style of play. They faced the Chicago Stags in the inaugural finals. Block 5. Game 1. Fulks scored 37 points, an unheard of number at the time, leading Philly to a win. The series went to 5 games, with Philadelphia taking the championship 4-1. Fulks averaged over 26 points per game in the finals, cementing himself as the league's first superstar. End-of-year landscape. When the first BAA season ended in April 1947, the league had proven it could survive, but barely. Financial struggles loomed, especially for the weaker franchises. Attendance was inconsistent, and competition from the NBL for players meant talent was still spread across 2 leagues. Still, the seed was planted. The BAA had big arenas, big city presence, and the ambition to grow. The coming years would see intense battles, both on the court and in the boardroom, to establish the league's place in American sports. From the tip-off in Toronto to Joe Fulks lifting the first championship trophy, the inaugural season of the Basketball Association of America was as much about survival as it was about basketball. The game was different, the crowd smaller, and the money tighter, but the dream was alive. And in the years to come, that dream would grow into something far greater than even Walter Brown could have imagined.